All rise. Face the east. 5 fingers on the left, 2 fingers on the right. Recite the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
The Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom. And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam. First, I want to rise and give praises to Allah, who is the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. He is the causeless cause and the rootless root from which all things have grown. To the one who is supreme, most wise, and beneficent, to him alone belongs worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. Let us say, praise Allah. I give honors to the illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, 1913 AD, savior of humanity. I give honors to all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, etc. I give honors to the forerunner, Marcus Messiah Godly, for paving the way. I give honors to all past Supreme Grand Advisors and moderators of the Moorish Science Temple of America in concession, Brother C. Kirkman Bey, Brother F. Nelson Bey, and Brother J. Blakely Bey. I give honors to the past Grand Sheikh and moderator, Brother R. Love Ill. May Allah be pleased. I give honors to the present Grand Sheikh and moderator, Brother R. Jones Bey, his assistant, Brother P. J. Sill. I give honors to the Grand National Chairman, Sister S. Russell Dunbar Bey, and her assistant, Brother V. Bell Bey. I give honors to the Grand Governor of the State of New York, Brother C. Hurt Bey, and his assistant, Brother K. Richardson Ill. I give honors to all past, present, future, national, state, and local officials of the Moorish Science Temple of America, all sheiks and sheikesses. I give honors to our Grand Sheik in Temple 34, Brother Y. Cyrus Hill, and his assistant, Brother W. Clinton and Bey. I give honors to the chairman, Brother C. Ferguson Hill, who's also the Grand Governor of the state of Connecticut. I give honors to all the officials of Temple 34. I give honors to the ministers, Sister Cecile Zill and Brother El Serrano Bey. I give honors to the Assistant Secretary, Sister B. Reeves Bey. I give honors to the Treasurer, Brother T. Berry Bey. I give honors to all the members, all the guests. I give honors to our two flags, the American flag and the Moorish flag, which represents the 5 highest principles known to man: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I give honors to our charter, which gives us the right to practice and promote Islamism in America without molestation. I give honors to everything that the prophet has brought for uplifting fallen humanity. I give honors to the literature and the remedies. I give honors to each and every one of you. I give honors to man, because when man honors man, he honors his father, God Allah. Islam. I'm going to take a read from the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Salvation, our God, unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the law of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the said government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the law and constitution of this said government, but to obey hereby. Act 7. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality. We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time, and all men now must proclaim their free national names to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and the southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father God, Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder, Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my God, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office, 2905 5th Street, Southeast Washington, D.C., 20032. Thus, I read the 7 acts from the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. I'll now bring your attention over to the Quran questions for Moorish Americans on page 7. Questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Before acting upon any member, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from the office under heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their adept meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case. And on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If members is working, his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire. And let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians. Because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet Noble Drew Ali through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Thus I read the 7 additional acts from the Quran questions for Moorish Americans. I'll now take a read from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Drew Ali, by the guidance of his father God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from the sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father God Allah. I'm going to bring you to chapter 27 on page 36. The divine instructions from the holy prophet, the holy unity of the rich and the poor. The man to whom Allah hath given riches and blessed with a mind to employ them aright is peculiarly favored and highly distinguished. He looketh on his wealth with pleasure, because it afford him the means to do good. He protecteth the poor that are injured. He suffereth not the mighty to oppress the weak. He seeketh out objects of compassion. He inquireth into their wants. He relieveth them with judgment and without ostentation. He assisteth and rewardeth merit. He encourages ingenuity. He encourageth ingenuity and liberally promote every useful design. He carrieth his own great works. His country is enriched, and the labor is employed. He formeth new schemes, and the arts receive improvement. He considereth the superfluities of his table as belonging to the poor of his neighborhood, and he defraudeth them not. The benevolence of his mind is not checked by his fortune. He rejoiceth therefore in riches, and his joy is blameless. But woe unto him that heapeth up wealth in abundance, and rejoiceth alone in the possessions thereof, that grindeth the face of the poor, and considereth not the sweat of their brows. He driveth on oppressions without feeling. The ruins of his brother disturbeth him not. The tears of the orphan he drinketh as milk. The cries of the widow are music to his ears. His heart hardened with the love of wealth. No grief or distress can make impressions upon it. But the curse of iniquity pursueth him. He liveth in continuum fear. The anxieties of his mind and the rapacious desires of his own soul take vengeance upon him for the calamities he has brought upon others. Oh, what are the miseries of poverty in comparison with the gnawings of this man's heart? Let the poor man comfort himself. Yes, rejoice, for he hath many reasons. He sitteth down to his morsels in peace. His table is not crowded with flatterers and devourers. He is not embarrassed with a train of dependents, nor teased with the clamors of solicitations. The barred from the dainties of the rich, he escapeth also their diseases. The bread that he eateth is not so sweet to his taste. The water he drinketh is not so pleasant to his thirst. Yea, far more delicious water than the richest draughts of luxurious. His labor preserveth his health, and procureth him a repose, to which the downy bed of sloth is a stranger. He limiteth his desires with humility, and the claim of contentment is sweeter to his soul than all the acquirements of wealth and grandeur. Let not the rich, therefore, presume on his riches, nor the poor in poverty yield to the despondence, for the providence of Allah dispenseth happiness to them both. Praise Allah. Thus I read chapter 27, the entire chapter. Our meeting is now officially open according to Prophet Noble Drew Ali's laws. I want to welcome each and every one of you to our Sunday school meeting here today. I pray that everyone walk away with a wealth of knowledge that they may learn to love instead of hate. I will call on our Sunday school instructor for today, our Grand Sheikh, Brother Y. Cyrus Hill. Peace.
Islam.
Islam Grand Sheikh, can you please turn on your mic?
Yeah, we were getting feedback. I want to thank our chairman for opening us up. Apologize for running a little tiny bit late. Moors, first I rise and give praise to the great God Allah. I give high honors to the last prophet in these days, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We give high honors to all of the divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. We give high honors to the forerunner to the prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I give honors to everyone and everything that our chairman just gave honors to. I give honors to the past leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America and our present Grand Sheikh and moderator, Brother R. Jones Bey. I give honors to our Grand Sheikh Emeritus, Sister E. German Bey, and the former Grand Sheikh, Brother W. Clendenin Bey. I give honors to all of the officials and members of Temple 34. I give honors to the charter of the Moorish Science Temple of America with its 10 great wonders of the world that gives us the right to teach Islam in America without molestation. I praise Allah that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was able to reintroduce, it was the first, the Moorish Science Temple of America is the first Islamic organization in the United States of America, and the Prophet was able to reintroduce Islam. Praise Allah. We give honors to the two flags, to the American flag and to the Moorish flag, with the 5 points that represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and a flag that's over 10,000 years old. We give honors to all of the Prophet's literature, giving honors to the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, to the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the questionary, the Moorish literature, oral statements, and everything that the Prophet brought for the uplifting of fallen humanity. I want to go into the questionary this afternoon without further ado. Time always gets away from us during our Sunday school class, so we want to try to jump in as quickly as possible. We want to go into the Quran questionary, and I'm going to read the prayer at the top. You know, this is the Quran questions for Moorish Americans. The great meeting is on. And at the beginning of the top of the first page, it says, the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. And I'm going to start off with, go back to our chairman, Sister L. Berry Bey, and for the first 5 questions. Sister Berry Bey, who made you?
Allah.
Who is Allah?
Allah is the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No.
Where is the nearest place we can meet him?
In the heart.
Who is Noble Drew Ali?
He is Allah's prophet.
Praise Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali is Allah's prophet. I'm going to go to next. I'm going to take a quick look at who all we have so far with us in the meeting. And I'm going to go to Sister Harmony for the next 5 questions while I take a look at that. Let's see. Okay. I see we got our brother Anubis King. Praise Allah. We got Sister Nikki Lucas. Praise Allah. I don't know, Corey made it on. Brother Volkazil, good. Brother Anderson Bay, praise Allah. I'm gonna go to Sister Harmony.
Sister Jordan has it.
I see Sister Jordan L. Yeah, I didn't name everyone that I saw, but I see a couple key people that I was hoping that would be a part. I'm gonna go to Sister Jordan L, Brother Jordan L, and the Jordan L family as well during the questionnaire. Sister Harmony, I'm gonna read question number 5 again. Who is Noble Drew Ali?
First, I rise and give praise to the great God Allah. I honors to his prophet, Noble Drew Ali, as well as Mosiah Garvey. I also give honors to everything that pertains to Islam and everything that the chairman and the Grand Sheikh gave honors to.
Praise Allah, praise Allah. And Moors, if I missed anything, I always try to pay attention when people interject, if they have something they want to add. My computer was muted. That whole time. So if I missed it. Sister Harmony, you just answered question number 5. Who is Noble Drew Ali?
He is Allah's prophet.
What is a prophet?
A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh.
Prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. What does that mean to you, Sister Harmony, being a 6-month participant, new member of the Moorish Science Temple of America? You know, it's always interesting to hear the understanding or reaction to specific questions as we go through this. This is our catechism, if you will, the Quran questions in the different verses in the Holy Quran, how they register, you know, to different people at different points on the path. What does that mean to you when it's the answer to what is a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh.
Islam. So to me, that means I guess from a maternal perspective, it's like an extension of yourself. As the mother of a child, I have a thought about what my child is going to be like, or the things that I'm going to teach my child. But my child is actually the manifestation of all those thoughts, of the things that I want for her.
Very good example. Wow, that was deep. That was deep for 6 months, Sister Harmony. Praise Allah. Thank you for that. Sister bringing in a lot of information and wisdom with her into the Moorish Science Temple of America. Praise Allah. We're gonna go next to Brother Corey Turner Bay. Brother Turner Bay, to you, Corey's been a member of the Moorish Divine National Movement for over 10 years, Corey, right? Brother Turner Bay, right? Well over 10 years, I believe. I'm gonna find out now. I always thought it was over 10 years. Your mic went back muted. While we're gonna give Brother Turner Bay a chance to unmute his mic, I'm gonna go to Brother Anderson Bay, and then we're gonna go to Sister Jordan now. What does it mean that a law sends a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh.
So first I rise and give praise to the great God Allah and his noble prophet Drew Ali for teaching us about ourselves. Give high honors to the brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey for being the forerunner for the prophet. I give high honors to everything pertaining to Islam and everything the Grand Sheikh and chairman gave honors to. So for me, Grand Sheikh, I believe this is because Allah is all knowing. His love and mercy for us, he saw us in such a sad state that he sent someone here. His thought was filled with love and compassion for us that it became manifest in the year 1886.
Wow.
And that person came in the form of the noble prophet Drew Ali, who carried the good works.
Wow.
He carried hope and divine instructions for a way up and out of our sick and sinful ways. And so I'm grateful for that thought of Allah being made manifest in the flesh, because I would not be here. Neither one of us would be here on this Sunday afternoon. And with that, I say peace.
Praise Allah. Peace, Brother Anderson Bay. Thank you for that. That's a very, very good point. This is a great question. There's a lot actually in this. I'm going to go to Sister Jordanelle or Brother Jordanelle, if you want to chime in, and then we're going to continue on, actually. Islam?
It's
Islam.
Sister Jordanelle, being a thought of Allah, prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. We honor many prophets, but he, being a prophet in the physical form, bringing a message to us. I think what the brother just said was was very much on point. The fact that the thought of Allah is manifested in the flesh, us being many things, but also in the flesh, it's someone that we can communicate with or we can understand, and that humanity has needs. So at that time, that thought that was given by Allah is something that was needed at that time, at this
Mhm.
for such a time as this. Praise
Islam, praise Allah.
Islam.
Thank you, Mr. Jordanelle. And this is an interesting question because, for one, it says something about thought. Thought manifests, and I'm not gonna go there. That's a whole discussion in itself. The thoughts that they have, the things in the cartoon world, they call them thought bubbles, right? And it's interesting about a thought bubble. Well, bubbles sometimes don't immediately go away. So thoughts never go away. They germinate. So when you have thoughts, you're germinating and they accumulate someplace. You'll learn later on, and as you get in deeper into the science. But thoughts manifest. We're here at the midpoint of January. We just celebrated the birth of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, right? So this is where this, part of this thought comes from, that the Prophet was born. Marcus Garvey said that our people needed a prophet. We needed a flag. We needed a nationality. I believe all of the prophets before they came, Brother Filterbay said last week that the Hebrews cried out for a prophet and they sent Moses. The Israelites cried out, they sent Jesus. The Indians cried out and they received Buddha. The Chinese cried out and received Confucius. The Arabs cried out for a Muslim and received Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be on them all. So there's a process of where we talked about on Friday. There's a problem. There's a problem that needs to be solved, and the prophet comes to the problem during the time of the problem, solves the problem, comes during the time of the problem from the people that have the problem, speaking the same language at the same time. And this is Allah's mercy, sending us a prophet, a thought of Allah, who divinely prepared Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Noble Drew Ali divinely prepared a solution for us, which in hindsight, it should be, it's so obvious. The prophet's solution kind of resonates. We didn't know our nationality. We didn't know our history. We were disconnected. And he brought us our identity. We're the Moabites, ancient Moabites who are now the descendants of Moroccans. We're born in America. Our nationality, in order to answer and to apply, he brought a technical part. Matter of fact, because you got your pants down and you don't know who you are, you can't answer to the Constitution of the United States of America. That's why you fall into Article 1, Section 2. Where you go under that designation of slave, right? Those who fail to recognize the free national name of the free national government are classified as undesirables, right? So the prophet gave us the identity and said, hey, look, this is how you wire yourself so you can answer and apply to the Constitution of the United States of America. And then everything else that fell out of those truths, you got to unify. In unity, there's power. You have political power. You can have economic power. If you can come together in the truth of, you can re-galvanize your nation that fell apart. So the prophet came with a divine plan. Praise Allah. We're going to go into the next question, Sister Harmony. Question 7, what is the duty of a prophet?
Islam, the duty of a prophet is to save nations from the wrath of Allah.
Islam, who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali, that's very important. That's an important statement on its own, because some people can confuse how this movement, divine movement, came about, or they act like they are. And they begin to allow other people to lead them in the direction that the prophet didn't set up. Excuse me. Question number 10, where?
Newark,
What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? Question 9.
1913 AD.
And question number 10 is where?
Newark, New Jersey.
Where was Noble Drew Ali born?
In the state of North Carolina, 1886.
What is his nationality?
Moorish American.
What is your nationality?
Moorish American.
Why are we Moorish Americans?
Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America.
Born in America. Morris, put that question 14 in your back pocket. That's the one you need. Simple answer instead of the long answer. When you're out and about in the hedges and the highways, people ask you, well, are you from Morocco? It's the best trick question that they try to ask most Moors. Question number 15. For what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
For the uplifting of fallen humanity.
How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans?
By teaching them to be themselves.
Islam. So I'm going to jump down for sake of time. I want to try to zero in on another section. We were in this section. We read that part last week. And then we got into the part about Jesus and the years, about 2,000 years ago. I'm going to come down and I'm going to go to Brother Vocaz El. Brother Vocaz, you have your questionnaire with you, brother man?
On Grand Chief?
But of course,
Islam, Sister Harmony?
We have a hand up. Brother Turnabay is back.
Brother Turnabay is back. Brother Turnabay, did you want to answer that question about Allah being a prophet, being a thought of Allah? He might be a little bit in the mix, sis. So that was probably to that last question.
He's here.
Brother Turnabay, if you want, you can unmute your mic anytime. Just jump in. Since your hand, you were already acknowledged. You can jump in whenever you get your mic unmuted. Brother Vocaz El, so we're gonna go to question number 35 and continue. There's like a section that opens up right about the bottom of page 2 going into page 3. It's talking about Jesus on page 2, right? You know, after our flag, it asks, where was he born? What was his birthday? What was his father's? What was his purpose, right? We're going to go to the bottom of that page. It says, where do we get the name Jesus?
Islam. First, I rise and give praise to the great God of the universe, my Father God, Allah, and I give high honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and everything pertaining to Islamism. Islam.
That's question number 35.
Where do we get the name Jesus? From the East.
The East, right? Question number 36. What does the name Jesus mean?
Jesus means justice.
Jesus means justice. Question 37. Did the angel give to the child that was called Jesus a holy name?
Yes, but it cannot be used by those who are slaves to sin.
Islam. What is an angel?
An angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh.
This is also a very interesting part. This is the section that I wanted to get into. What is an angel? An angel is a thought of Allah. Manifested, they always used to tell the Moors to pay attention. This part says human flesh. An angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. When they ask what is a prophet, it doesn't say human flesh, but you know that the angel is also a thought of Allah manifested. Question 39. What are angels used for? This is the part that I'm getting into.
Islam. To carry messages to the four corners of the world, to all nations.
Angel carries messages to the four corners of the world, to all nations. Who can tell me who most of the prophets received their revelation from? This is might be a little bit of an advanced question, but it's a good one to know. Anybody remember who spoke to most of the prophets?
Islam?
Gave them revelation?
Well, somebody just answered it, but
Gabriel?
first and foremost, I rise.
Hang on one split second. I'm gonna give the floor to Peter. Hang on. Who else? Hold on one second.
A lot of
Islam. Islam. Just wanted to rise and give praise to the great God Allah. Give honors to all of his prophets, and especially his prophet Noble Drew Ali, which gave us our nationality and birthrights. And want to wish a happy birthday and happy holy month to all the Moors. Islam.
Praise Allah. Hang on a second with that, brother Peter. I want to acknowledge someone else. Technical. You might get feedback.
Yeah, we're getting too much feedback.
More. Thank you, sister. If anyone has their mic unmuted, speaker at the same time, it might be echoing.
There we go. That's better.
Praise Allah. So there was another person that was trying to come in while Brother Petersville was getting ready to answer the question. I wanted to acknowledge you as well. Who was that?
That was I, Brother P. Volk is ill.
Islam.
In response.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. So I'm going to go to Brother Petersville first, and I'm going to go to Brother Volkazil after. The question on the floor was who gives the divine revelation to the prophets. And in many cases that you can read about in the history of the Bible, it actually says it. Also says it in the Holy Quran. Brother Petersville?
Islam. That's Archangel Gabriel.
Yes, right. Spot on the money. Brother Volkazil, that was what you were thinking as well?
Islam.
The angel Gabriel. That's how this question where it says, what are angels used for? To carry messages to the four corners of the world, to all nations. What messages are they carrying? They're carrying the messages that come from Allah. They bring them to the prophets. That brings us to question number 40. What is our prophet to us? Sister Harmony? Brother Volkazil?
He is an angel of Allah who is sent to bring us the everlasting gospel of Allah.
Islam. This is one of those chunky portions of the questionnaire where there's a lot packed into it. But what I want to focus on is this statement about the everlasting gospel. What is our prophet to us? He is an angel of Allah who was sent to bring us the everlasting gospel of Allah. And I'm hoping that we have, let me see if did we get Brother Clinton Bay on the line yet, Sister Harmony, or Brother Sister Sealsville? Brother Serrano Bay, Sister Sealsville?
Brother Clinton Bay is on the line.
Islam, perfect. And Brother Serrano Bay, Sister Sealsville, when they come in, just let me know. So what is our prophet to us? He is an angel of Allah who was sent to bring the everlasting gospel of Allah. Question 41 is going to help you out a little bit. It gives you a clue. Question 41, Brother Volkazil. What is the everlasting gospel?
Islam. It is a saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient fathers by his prophet.
Islam. Moors are familiar with this question, and I'm gonna check for Brother Turner Bay again. Brother Turner Bay, where you at? You get your mic unmuted? The everlasting gospel. It tells you, it says a saving power that comes from Allah, right? Through our ancient fathers by his prophet. That's a process. It started from Allah. It's been carried along by our ancient fathers, and it's delivered by his prophet, right? And you want to have an understanding of what that is, right? I would say I'm going to give you a few minutes to just ponder the question. What is the everlasting gospel? What does that mean to you? What does it boil down to? There's a specific answer, and there's a deeper analysis, or there's a deeper understanding of what the everlasting gospel is. But I want to keep going because there's another piece that when you're thinking about the everlasting gospel, you want to think about this other portion as well. So I'm going to go down to the next one more question with Brother Volkazil. Question 42. What is the covenant of the great God Allah?
Islam. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah has given thee.
Islam. If we had more time, I would ask you, what is the relationship between this question and the last question? Because this prophet is stringing a lot of things together in a way that I don't think we fully can grasp, but I think you can grasp certain things about it. It's stringing it together because it's basically saying, honor your father. That's how you get the everlasting gospel. If you can't honor your father, how are you going to get something that comes through your forefathers and delivered by his prophet? If you can't respect your parents, how are you going to respect the prophet? How do you love your people when you don't love your parents? You probably don't love yourself in a lot of cases. But he says that there's a covenant. So my question is, and I'm gonna go to Sister Barry Bay first, and then I'm gonna go to anyone that actually has their hand up on the floor. I want to answer the question: Where is this covenant? What covenant? Where did this come from?
Islam, Grand Sheikh, Brother Serrano Bay is on the line.
Yeah, Brother Serrano Bay. Praise Allah. Good. Sister Barry Bay, do you remember where? This is a question for Sister Reeves Bay too.
She asked me for the Zoom information just now.
She was okay, so we'll give Sister Barry Bay a chance to get Sister Reeves Bay, our assistant secretary, in on the line. I'm going to go to anyone that has their hand up. Where does this covenant come from? It says the covenant. What is the covenant of the great God Allah? And it says, honor thy father and thy mother. this should be familiar. Anyone other than Brother Serrano Bay, Brother Clendenin Bay, you know what I mean? Who else?
Brother Peter's hand up.
Brother Peterson, where does this covenant come from?
Islam. Praise and honor is already given. I believe that it comes from the great God Allah.
Yes.
You know, the great God Allah, but as you mean what physical book or?
Yes, this comes from an actual book. This is a part of the everlasting gospel. This says something about everlasting gospel. The definition that we're going to get to in a second of what everlasting gospel is well, I just gave the answer. It's the gospel, the written word of the prophets, including the laws, right? And the covenant, you would think covenant is a contract, right? Contract makes you think about law. What law does that come from? In the gospel. That's a big clue. The 10 Commandments, right? That Moses got. That's the 5th commandment. Honor your father and your mother that your days may be long upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah has given thee. And again, the prophet is reminding us, prophet very ingeniously strings all of the prophets together. What they're all saying is the same thing. The modern world is very confused. It's truncated and separated. 3 religions. You know, some religions don't honor the prophets of the other religions, but they're all saying, common sense would tell you that they're all saying the same thing. That's how I got to the Moorish Science Temple of America. I was able, and I was in the church. I got a little glimpse of Islam when I was younger, but I said, wait a minute, they seem like they're saying the same thing. As a matter of fact, that Quran that my aunt gave me, because my father and my aunt were heavy duty Muslims. I said, that seems like that's graduate school to what I'm studying in the church. They're doing the same thing, but they're just a little bit more aggressive about it, meaning they're more disciplined. But they're saying it's not like they're saying something totally different. How could it be 2 religions? So the Prophet Noble Drew Ali strung together this piece of the 10 Commandments. Let's keep going.
Islam.
Brother
Turner Bay and Sister Harmony. Who else do we have?
Brother.
Oh, you went to an echo. Say that one more time, sis.
I said we have hands up by Brother People Brazil and Brother Peterson, but I sure Brother Turner Bay got a chance to speak.
Praise Allah. So we're gonna go to Brother Peterson, Brother Vocasio, then Brother Peterson after Brother Turner Bay. But actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get Brother Turner Bay to read these other questions so I can put the main part of this portion on the floor. Then I'm gonna go to Brother Vocasio and Brother Peterson, and we'll open up for questions. I'm gonna be slinging questions at you as well. I want to make sure you have an understanding. Brother Turner Bay.
Islam.
Yeah,
I couldn't hear before.
Oh, okay, you got your mic was out and your speaker. Okay.
Yeah, I could hear y'all, but I couldn't hear myself.
Praise
like
Allah.
You couldn't hear me.
Praise Allah. I don't know if you heard any of the earlier questions or if you have a comment or a question now, but I'm about to put a couple of them on the floor. I needed your input.
All's well.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. You got your questionnaire, Brother Turner Bay?
Of course.
Islam. Then if you want to give, I'll give you a second to give praise and honors, and we're going to jump into question number 43. And we're going to talk about the holy bread.
I rise giving praises to the great God of the universe, who we call Allah. I give honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to the forerunner of the Prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I give honors to everything the chairman gave honors to. I give honors to the Supreme Grand Sheikh from Emiliel to the Supreme Grand Sheikh and today, Brother R. Jones Bay. I give honor to Brother Grand Sheikh Y. Cyrus L. of Temple number 34 and his official staff. I give honors to everyone on the line. I give honors to man, because when man honors man, he honors his father God Allah. Islam.
Brother Turner Bay, well, at what age did Jesus begin to teach?
At the age of 12.
Where did he teach?
I'm sorry.
India,
Africa, and Europe.
Islam. How long did he teach?
About 18 years.
18 years. What did Jesus say would make you free?
Truth.
What is truth?
Truth is art.
What is art?
is Allah.
Can truth change?
Truth cannot change nor pass away.
What other name do we give to truth?
Holy breath.
What have you say about holy breath?
All we can say, it is good. Excuse me, Islam. All we can say, it is great. It is good. It was, is, and evermore to be. Amen.
Islam. Praise Allah. So we're going to stop right there with the holy breath. And so thank you, Brother Turner Bay. And actually, you can tell me too. So what, at the end of the day, what is holy breath to you based off of what this is saying? How do you describe holy breath? I know it defines it pretty clear here, but
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory once you know, because in our society we have a belief of perception. A person's perception of something is the truth, and that's falsehood, because whether you perceive something the way you perceive it based on your level of knowledge, that don't absolutely mean it's true. We perceive that the sun is coming up every day, but in actual truth, the sun stays in its seat spinning on its axis. You know what I'm saying? So when it speaks to me, as you know, it says, what did Jesus say that would make you free? Truth. You know, it needs no representation. It is. That is the holy breath. You know what I'm saying? So, Islam.
Allah. Praise Allah. So, and then I'm going to give Brother Vocazil and Brother Petershill a chance to answer that same question, or you can put you had a point that you were going to make or a question you were going to answer a few minutes ago. I'm going to go to Brother Vocazil first. The general question on the floor is, what is the holy breath? And then we're going to go into a comparison of the holy breath and the everlasting gospel to make sure that the morals are clear on both of these concepts. Brother Vocazil.
Islam. I was going to.
I was hoping that you would be able to chime in. AGS, I'm coming to you next, Brother Vocazil.
I was going to speak towards the saving power to my mind, to my heart. The saving power is the knowledge of peace and goodwill on earth to all men. It is having that knowledge that it is peace on earth and goodwill to all men. And it brings to mind Brother Coleman Hill when in chapter 25, that last instruction of chapter 25, where he says, the brothers and sisters know the chapter, and it's the last instruction on that.
Can we continue to you all in your love to each other? Islam.
Right.
Islam.
Praise Allah. Thank you, Brother Vocazil. Brother Petershill, can we allow the AGS to jump in real quick? I think he had a thought that was sitting there. Is that all right, Brother Petershill?
Always. Islam. Oh.
Praise Allah. Islam, AGS.
Yeah,
Islam, Grand Sheikh. Give praise to Allah, honor to the Prophet, and honor to everything the chairman gave honor to.
Islam.
I'm just thinking about this question 51. So what have you to say about holy breath, right? And then we say, all we can say, it is great, it is good, it was, it is, and evermore to be. Amen. And I remember the Quran class teacher said, what do you have to say about it, Brother Pandana Bay? And then I would start saying this and saying that. He said, but I thought the Prophet said, all we can say is this. So what does that mean to a more when it says all we can say? The Prophet's telling us the answer. Now, you might have a whole bunch of different things you might want to say. The answer to the question is, what has Brother Condemnate to say about holy breath? All we can say, it is great, it is good, it was, and evermore to be. Amen. What else you have to say? That's all we can say. Peace.
Islam. Praise Allah. That's deep. That actually makes me think about that first verse in chapter 35, where it says there's but one Allah, the author, creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. You know, in chapter 26, it talks about the clearest human knowledge is blindness and folly. So some of these concepts transcend our conception. I'm going to go into chapter 18, and we're going to look at a reference to the holy breath that was made by Jesus. I want to go to my brother Petershill first. Brother Petershill.
Islam. Praise and honor is already given. I actually wanted to ask a question and answer a question about the last topic and ask a question about this. I mean, then answer the question on this topic.
Islam.
So the question that I had in mind was about honoring the parents. In that, right? In that, we know the prophet says that those who was with me 2,000 years ago was with me, and those who are against me is against me. So if you find yourself with a set of parents that was against the prophet, and you're attempting to correct your steps and walking with the prophet,
that's a good point. Wow.
How do you honor these parents?
Can I jump in on that, Brother Petersville, real fast? That's a great one, and we're gonna maybe we'll double back to it as well, Brother AGS. Let me just speak something real fast to this, and because that's a powerful one. We want to remember in chapter 2 it says, through carnal thoughts, words, and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah and debased himself. And it says, teach that the holy breath will make him one again, right? Chapter 11, it talks about how the great work of masterminds is to restore the heritage that he had lost, to regain the estate that he had lost. We were talking a few weeks ago about how, in studying cruelty, how discord is able to expand. You have a rift in the thought, and that will be the discord. And then it becomes a competition in order to, because of that rift, right? And the competition turns into struggling and striving, struggling and striving. If it's not contained, it turns into fighting. The fighting turns into war. And these are patterns that we can find in the world. And it happens in your house, in your family. It may happen intergenerationally, right? But I would say, Brother Petersville, is to remember, Prophet Noble Drew Ali is tying you in. Remember that the brotherhood of man, the brotherhood of life, every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. And this is the goal that you got to remember. In order to untangle the knot, you got to remember the strings got to be straight. That's when you know the knot's untangled. So this goal he leaves there, regardless of the circumstances. You may find yourself, because it also says in the Bible that households would split. 3 would be against 2, and the father against the son, and it's and vice versa. We just always want to remember that the goal is that you're supposed to honor your father and your mother. That should be your aim. Even if you can't accomplish it at that moment, lifetime or whatever, it should still be your aim. Thank you, Brother Kanenbe. Islam.
Islam, Grand Sheikh.
Islam.
Like a lot of times when we get the instructions of the truth, there's no qualifier. If you do this, if the person does this, the prophet tells us, and we have to make decisions for ourselves. Whether they was with the prophet, they wasn't with the prophet, they're still children of Allah. No matter how they treat you or what they did to you or what they're not doing to you, they're still part of Allah. And when you honor man, you honor Allah. See, when you serve in Allah, you serve your near kin, those are no kin, the stranger at the gate, the foe seeks to do you harm. So the one that's trying to hurt you, you serve him. That don't mean, so you got to depend on what your understanding of serve means and what your understanding of honor means. That doesn't mean that you honor your mother and father and they're telling you to do something negative or to do something against your principles. That doesn't mean to do that. That means to have an understanding, like you were saying, Grand Sheikh, of veneration, of understanding of all these individuals that are around you are children of Allah. All of these animals that are around you are deities of Allah. Everything that we can see and everything we don't see is part of Allah.
That's right.
So we have to decide where we are along the way. Where's our understanding along the way? Are we going to qualify our actions depending on how other people treat us or our perception of them? Then that's only one level. If we're going to be love, then you are love. Just like the sun shines on everybody. If you're love, you love everybody. If you're following the instructions of Prophet and Allah, then you're respecting everyone, you're honoring everyone, But at the same time, just like you know how to tame the one for your purpose and to crush the other beneath your foot, doesn't mean that you are stupid, doesn't mean that you put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of, but it means that you have the consciousness and how you're supposed to walk within this life. Peace.
Praise Allah. I'm gonna go. Thank you for that, brother Clendenin Bey. I'm gonna go to Al Berry Bey.
Islam.
Islam.
I want to just also camel walk with
You unmute your mic. I'm gonna mute mine.
Islam.
Islam.
I wanted to speak to the thought that Brother Peter Seal had brought forward. I went to chapter 35, instruction 24. In this, we must remember that Allah does not wink his eye at one's doing. It says, have he established his laws in goodness and mercy, and shall he not punish the transgressors thereof? O think not, bold men, because thy punishment is delayed, that the arm of Allah is weakened. Neither flatter thyself with hopes that he winketh at thy doings. So you have to remember, that's why we have to study and practice not to be judgmental, because Allah is our only judge.
Good point.
Even if we don't like what someone is doing, we understand we created some conditions for ourselves, even our parents.
That was where I was going.
So we have to still love and not demand love in return.
Wow.
And as I always say, I expect love, but I'm not going to demand it, because that's what the prophet brought us back. We didn't know that before. Before, we was demanding this respect, like you gonna love and respect me, but we cannot do that. And so I want to go back to the truth that Clendenin Bey made me think when he gave the demonstration. All we can say is great is good and was and evermore to be. And I want to also add that, remember that we're talking about truth here, because it said, what other name do we give to truth? So it's the truth that is great. It's the truth that is good. It was, it is, and evermore to be. And as Brother Corey Turner Bay spoke to, I understood that I felt that thought. I can feel it and see it, because some people have a perception of the sun rising,
right,
as he said, but we know that it's going around, right. So remember that with truth and force is strangely mixed. This is infinite and finite thinking. So when you raise your thoughts to infinite wisdom, and you can hear the vibration of what the prophet has brought us, you can see truth. There's still falsehood, because we don't understand everything. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. You still know that there's going to be sunshine at the end of the day. So, it's truth that we know is holy breath. Holy breath is truth. It don't change. It stays the same. And with that, I say peace.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Thank you, Sister Berry Bey. Unmute my mic on my speaker. Yeah, Islam. I want to go with, at that point, we're going to come back to the holy breath, analysis of the holy breath and the everlasting gospel. Again, in chapter 18, if you look, there's a reference where Jesus mentions it while he's on a plane of soul. I want to, for sake of time, I want to go into, we were talking about some of this because, again, this is January. The Moors are tagged it our holy month, the birth of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So I want to go into some information for the month of January. While we have the time, this is a photograph of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Sister Harmony, is my screen sharing, Sister Berry Bey?
Islam is.
Islam. This is a photograph, famous photograph of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali blessing the Moors at his birthday. This is 1929, right? And I was looking, if you look in the Moorish Guide, there are several different interesting articles. I found this one underneath a picture. This is also from 1929. Actually, it might be late 1928, the lead up to the Prophet's birthday. And it's saying that the Moors will celebrate the Prophet's birthday with a Moorish national costume ball. And the article that sits underneath it is the article that we find in our Moorish literature about the costume ball. And they actually edit the heading because it really doesn't say in detail what, how they plan to do this. But it explains the reason why the Moors on that date are in costume, Moorish costume. They had planned it in advance. And I thought that was very interesting. Also, here is a Moorish guy that actually has that same photo, as it was published in the newspaper. This was, I believe it was in January. It was either January or February 29. It might be February 29, talking about the Prophet's birthday. I think it's fitting to look at these articles you know, at this time because it's the prophet's birthday. But one specific thing I wanted to go into, if you look in this, I believe this is the same issue. This is probably the February issue of the Moorish Guide, 1929. When you zoom in, well, I'm going to zoom in. And you look, it says that men of prominence wire greetings. These are greetings that were extended to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali for his birthday in 1929. And I want to read a few of them. And we'll look at the people that actually who sent these greetings. The first one, they all are addressed to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali at Unity Hall, 3140 Indiana Avenue. It says, sincere congratulations on the anniversary of your natal day. Regret that pressing business in committee prevents my being able to personally be with you in the temple tonight. With a very good wish from Brother Lewis B. Anderson. That's the alderman that the Moors had been endorsing in the guide, actually, and who won his seat as alderman in Chicago. Alderman is similar to a city council position. So that was Alderman Anderson's extension of birthday greetings to the Prophet. And the next one underneath that is from, wait, jump the page. The next one underneath it is from a man named, who says, he names himself Commissioner. At the bottom, it says Daniel M. Jackson. Same address, it is with greatest felicity of feeling that I congratulate you on your birthday with golden hopes for your continued health and happiness. May you profit abundantly in the great work you are doing and lead the people to a higher hope is my wish for you. And I went digging for these personalities, and Mr. Jackson, I was unable to find. I was looking under the police commissioners. They have a listing of the police commissioners in Chicago, and he does not pop up. But I was able to find an interesting bit of information about him. I think this is it. He actually is a funeral parlor owner and kind of wealthy individual, influential individual who's got kind of like a little bit of a shady past. They said he got, you know, he had a gambler. He was doing a little bit of other things. I'm going to place this here so the Moors, I'm not going to read it, but he's a personality in Chicago, influential personality in Chicago during the time of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And then I'm going to go to the next person on this. It actually continues to the next page. And this one is from Representative William E. King. He says that he regret my duties in Springfield prevent me from being able to be present at your birthday celebration. Long live the Prophet and his teachings. William E. King. And this is, let me see, where's William King at? I believe this is William E. King. Serves Illinois House of Representatives. This is a state rep. 1925, 1927. He was in a Republican school. It says at the bottom, King was reelected to the House in 1928, 1930. He was then elected to Illinois Senate in 1934. During his tenure in Illinois General Assembly, King introduced a bill to prevent the Ku Klux Klan from operating in Illinois. The bill was signed into law. He also served on an interracial committee that studied the causes and effects of race riots in Illinois. King ran for a seat in the United States Congress in 1942, but was defeated by William L. Dawson, with Dawson receiving 26,000 votes to King's 23,000 and some odd votes. So we're gonna go to the next person. That extended was none other than Oscar Dupriest himself. We all know who Mr. Dupriest was, a congressman out of Illinois, first African-American congressman in the 20th century. He said, kindly accept my hearty congratulations on your birthday. May you personally be spared for many years to come and for the great service you are rendering to the Moorish American Temple. And for those that weren't looking at our earlier presented Oscar Dupriest and some of the associates of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali who helped get elected, that's Oscar Dupriest. Like I said, Illinois congressman, elected specifically by the efforts of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple of America. The next one is Republican Representative, actually, George W. Blackwell. And it had the same type of address. It says, duties here in Springfield prevent me from being present on the occasion of your birthday. I congratulate you and wish you, the members of the Great Moorish Organization, continued success. Keep on teaching the men, women, and children love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Representative George W. Blackwell. When I looked up Representative Blackwell, I could not find him. I couldn't find any photographs. I had to dig, and I was able to find this record of the representatives. You know, the difference between the Moors in this, our civics class know the difference between a U.S. representative or a U.S. congressman in the House of Representatives or a U.S. senator versus a state senator. Blackwell was a state representative. So there's a lot of them, and they kind of replace fairly frequently, but I did find his name in the registry online. So that is the George Blackwell, George W. Blackwell, 1st District, 56th and 57th grouping. I guess that's how they do it, the group that he was with. And this is the same page without the highlight. I'm gonna go to the next one. There's just a few more. Next one was Senator A.H. Roberts. It says, hearty congratulations upon your birthday. May you have many more. Senator A.H. Roberts, and this is the gentleman from Illinois. And it's a little bit about his background. How does it? Adelbert H. Roberts, born 1866. He was a little 20 years older than the prophet, was an American politician who in 1924 became the first African-American to serve in the Illinois Senate. Roberts was born August 20th in Decatur. He graduated from high school 17, he became a teacher. Then he chose to take a PhD coursework at the University of Michigan before attending Northwestern University. Let me see down into some of his works that he actually did. In 1918, Roberts was elected to the Illinois House of Representatives as a Republican after the Chicago race riot of 1919. Governor Frank Orrin Lodens appointed Roberts to the Chicago Commission on Race Relations, created in response to the incident. He was appointed to the Illinois Senate in 1924 to fill a vacancy and elected to the Senate in 1926. In 1930, during his tenure, he was the resident of the Douglas community area. So yeah, A.H. Roberts. Let's see who else is on this list. Extending greetings to the prophet. You got 2 judges. Judge Francis Borelli, and these are European. I wish to congratulate you upon your birthday and the great work you are doing. Judge Francis Borelli, and then you have Judge Joseph Burke. Both of these are magistrate judges after I looked them up. And Burke says, I take great pleasure in congratulating you on your birthday, and I wish you many years of continued success, good health, and happiness. And then the last one is Brother F. Nelson Bay, who it shows here. He's at that point, he's in Detroit. Brother Nelson Bay is from Detroit before he got dispatched by Brother Kirkman Bay to Moorish Home number 1. So we're gonna go down to the 2 judges, Francis Borelli and Joseph Burke. Put a name to the face. Actually, and this is an article from the last A.H. Roberts, first Negro in state Senate. And it's reporting about his death. Put that right there. But Judge Borelli appeared, I found a little clip of him because some of these people, this is a long time ago. This is before a lot of photographs were being taken. A lot of stuff wasn't stored. I found in the Chicago Tribune an article about Borelli when he passed. And this is his picture and a little bit about him. Borelli dies, judge, 24 years, moved to California 18 months ago. Francis Borelli, 74, former judge of the municipal court, not magistrate. I think I said magistrate. They're both municipal judges of the municipal court, and a former leader of the city's Italian-American residents, died yesterday in Pasadena, California. He had lived there since he retired from law practice 18 months ago. And it has a little bit more information about him if You can actually probably look this up and it'll come up. Very interesting information though. And this is the other judge, Judge Joseph Burke. I was able to find, I couldn't find anything else about him other than this. He was the longest tenured judge in the history of the Illinois Appellate Court. Judge Burke was born in, what is that? Claremorris County, Mayo, Ireland in 1888. Son of Patrick Burke, his family immigrated to America in 1895, going through Ellis Island and then on to Chicago, where they settled on the near west side. And it talks a little bit about his career. There's a photograph of him in his elder age. And I just thought this was interesting information for a couple of reasons, not only because this is, the articles. I always implore the Moors to get a good copy of, you can look up copies of the Moorish Guide. You can see all of the things that were happening during the prophet's time. And you can find a lot about the stance of the Moorish Science Temple. As a matter of fact, when I was looking in yesterday, and this is a little bit off topic, I saw that there was an event held at a Temple 17. And the prophet was writing about it. The prophet was invited. And I'm gonna go to Brother Clinton Bay and ask, what's strange about that? And it's in the Moorish Guide. Prophet attended I think they had a dance. I think it was a dance. I'll maybe show it at another time. At Temple 17. What's weird about that, Brother Clinton Bay? Is he there? Can the Moors hear me?
Islam. There's only 15 listed on the lithograph.
Did you ever see this article about Temple 17?
I do remember seeing something about that. What was the date on that?
It was in January of 29. I believe it was in the same paper from 1929. It was around January where some of these other articles are there. And I looked, and the prophet, this was the Juanita Richardson version of the Moorish Guide. there's two versions of the Moorish Guide. You have one where the managing editor is Claude Green, and then later on, Juanita Richardson, I believe, takes over the paper. And this Juanita Richardson is the managing editor, and Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the editor, I think, chief editor, something like that. So he's still listed in it. Prophet was around, and it mentions him being in attendance or him being invited to an event at Temple 17. I thought that was very interesting.
Praise Allah. It was after the convention, and that lithograph was probably printed before the convention. So there could have been temples that were 16 and 17 could have been coming on board either during or after the convention.
Islam. Praise Allah. Praise Allah. So I implore the Moors to, we try to go into every once in a while different aspects of the Moorish Guide. I just want to open up the floor for a second to see if there's any questions before we go to the Quran from what we just looked at. Any comments or questions?
There aren't any hands up, but if anyone has a comment or question.
Islam. Oh, sorry.
I think I heard Brother Serrano Bay, then Brother Vocasdale.
Islam. First I rise and I give all praise to the great God Allah. I give honor to his holy and illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali and everything that pertains to Islam. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, I believe there were 15 functioning temples, and altogether 21, which the additional temples were subordinate temples. If I'm not mistaken, I remember reading something like that. But I do have the article where it talks about the prophet going to temple number 17. And there's another article that speaks about temple number 17 as well. I have to look for it, but I do have it. Peace.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Thank you, Brother Serrano Bay. Yeah, we're going to get the research team. We were talking about our research team having some thoughts. Brother Serrano Bay, Brother Barry Bay, Brother Anderson Bay, and then have with the support of some of the other members. We got a good amount of research spirits in Temple 34. I won't go into that now. Moors, any other questions? We're going to Brother Vocasdale actually had a question or comment as well.
Islam. I had a quick thought prior to your reading the Moorish Guide, in regards to question 42. What is covenant of the great God Allah. And it says, to honor thy father and thy mother, which father and mother are capitalized, capital F and capital M. And then I went to, I want to bring the thought to question 18, where it says, is this a new or is this the old time religion? I was going to save this question for the secretary time, but it's a comment and question related. Like the old time religion is what we are, so our forefathers and mothers, right? Fathers and mothers, that's the old time religion that they were following, the law of peace and the gospel, the holy breath. I just wanted to ask if that was any correlation. And with that, I say peace.
Islam. I would say yes. When you look at chapter 25, it starts off by saying that ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given ye suck. Right before it goes into, let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. Even when you separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity. Unity being a key word, love being a key word. But that father, mother, ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given you suck. I always ask the question, which father? And then we always remember that there's three particular fathers. You could be talking about our father God Allah, our common father Adam, right? Or your natal father. Each of us have a natal father, natal mother. And that goes to the father and mother capitalized and that. I never thought about it before, but I mean, it ties into this thought about that could be the Adam and Eve, which goes into this thought of the everlasting gospel or Islamism. Actually, Islamism and everlasting gospel tie together. Islamism is the everlasting gospel. There's one thing that's been taught. What was Adam's state at the time when he first initially reached the rate of atmosphere, or even further when he was the Lord of the plane of soul? My understanding is that Adam was not suffering from a lot of the descent that we came down to as we begin to fall lower and lower on the plane of the earth, to where now, when the prophet came 90 some odd years ago, we were at our lowest. And arguably, I would even say today, the Moorish Americans are inclining, right? We're on an incline because we turn away from sin and we're striving for purity in life. But a lot of our brothers and sisters in our community are continuing to decline from decade to decade. I see it. The things I was terrified about happening when I first heard Biggie Smalls and Lil' Kim pushing 20 years ago, 30 years ago now, are a common fact now. I'm growing used to the level of the generation that we've gotten to, but I don't want to beat the point. I believe that they're all tied together, and I believe that the capitalized letters may be speaking most likely either to Adam and Eve, or ancient father, ancient mother. Hopefully that answers your question, Brother Volkazil. We will pick that up. We can pick that up during the question area. I want to make sure we're doing pretty good on time. If I can, I'm going to dive more. So I'm going to dive into the Quran for our last portion so we can end out on a decent time. I got a track record of ending up late, and I don't like it. We're going to go to chapter 27, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to round off our Sunday school this afternoon. The chapter Sister Elberry Bay, our chairman, read for us is the holy unity of the rich and the poor. Last few weeks, we've been breaking it down. We analyzed if this is about, this has 3 sections. The first 1/3 talks about the way a rich person should understand that the benefit that they have of having wealth. The second third describes what a wealthy person should not do. And the last portion describes the poor man's station and how they should perceive it. And I wanted to go into that for this week. But I will read the first line of most of the chapters in the Quran are very interesting. So I will read the first portion, which again is speaking to the rich, which says the man to whom Allah have given riches and blessed with the mind to employ them aright is peculiarly favored and highly distinguished. And then the section where it gets down to the poor man is instruction number 15. And I'm going to ask Brother Anderson Bey if you can read instruction 15 through 17 for us.
Sure. Islam. Let the poor man comfort himself, yes, rejoice, for he hath many reasons. He sitteth down to his morsel in peace. His table is not crowded with flatterers or devourers. He is not embarrassed with a train of dependents, nor teased with the clamors of solicitation.
Islam. Thank you for that. And we're gonna let's read through it first, and then we're gonna come back into those same 3 verses. We're gonna break those down. What does that mean? How can you interpret that? I want to see if I can get Sister Harmony, if you can read 18 through 22. We're on page 37.
Islam.
Section
18. Debarred from the dainties of the rich, he escapeth also their diseases. The bread that he eateth is not so sweet to his taste. The water he drinketh is not so pleasant to his thirst. Yea, far more delicious water than the richest draughts of the luxurious. His labor preserveth his health, and procureth him a repose to which the downy bed of sloth is a stranger. He limiteth his desires with humility, and the calm of contentment is sweeter to his soul than all the acquirements of wealth and grandeur. Let not the rich therefore presume on his riches, nor the poor in his poverty yield to despondence, for the providence of Allah dispenseth happiness to them both.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Thank you for reading that, sister. And the first thing that hits me as we go into this particular section for today, this thought about the Prophet Muhammad came to mind while we were just reading that. And according to Prophet Muhammad and the policy or the tenets of Al-Islam, you're supposed to try to avoid luxury. Muslims, according to the Holy Quran of Mecca, are supposed to try to avoid unnecessary luxury and acquisitions of things that have it, that will have a certain effect. Let me just say, and I don't want to go off into a tangent about a lot of other things that the Muslim discipline, Al-Islam's discipline has, but I will say that the Prophet Muhammad, apparently, the Prophet Muhammad was a great ruler. He came back, he conquered Mecca, and he had a lot of power. He had a wealth, but he never really lived extravagantly. And I remember hearing a story about the Prophet Muhammad's room that he lived in. It was very simple. It just had a rug that was rolled out, a very simple bed on the floor, and I forget what was on the wall. There was something that was hung on the wall, but other than that, it was very kind of barren. They avoided luxury, and this makes me think about this particular section about the poor. Regardless of whether you kind of understand the wisdom behind, the thought behind Al-Islam or not, the poor person automatically has a certain state that there's a little power that is invested in it, a benefit that comes from being poor. This is what this chapter is kind of breaking down. It's what I am hearing as it's read, this portion of the chapter. And I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna read the first 3 verses that Brother Anderson Bey read, and let's analyze it. And you can unmute your phone at this point, and I'd like to get a couple of opinions on thoughts on what do these first 3 verses mean. Instruction 15 says, let the poor man comfort himself. Yes, rejoice, for he hath many reasons. And the first reason that it sounds like he's going into, it says, he sitteth down to his morsel in peace. His table is not crowded with flatterers and devourers. Not embarrassed with the train of dependents, nor teased with the clamors of solicitations. So let's start with what does this mean in general, these 3 lines? You can zero in on any particular line. I think that third one gets kind of specific. Anyone, what does this mean?
Brother Turner Bey has his hand up.
Islam, Brother Turner Bey?
Islam.
Islam.
Oh, let me mute the computer. it speaks to me in volumes because, you know, the poor man really doesn't comprehend all the things that the rich man is, the wealthy man has to deal with. You know, we all have our own adversities. We all have our own weight on our shoulders or yoke. So the poor man is saying, the poor man, you know, is bringing in the consciousness to me of what the poor man don't have to deal with and how to rejoice and why should he rejoice? Because, you know, it's very stressful. Just think of, you have to sit down when you eat and you got a bunch of devourers around you. You know, you got a bunch of people, you know, because you got wealth, they laughing and smiling in your face, but you know, you can see that it's superfluous, you know, it's not real, you know, it's not from the heart. And he says he is not embarrassed with a train of dependents. And that speaks to me because when you're wealthy, you know, you have to, you have a lot, there's a lot of obligations of protecting your wealth. You know, in today's world, you say you need a tax lawyer, you need an accountant, you need a, you know, and that's really kind of stressful because you need a watcher to watch the watches.
Yes.
You know, so it speaks volumes as far as the consciousness of things that you should rejoice in that you don't have to deal with when you're at a certain level, which they call the poor man. You know, Islam.
You make me think of I don't know if they got this thing on VH1 where you go into the life of former stars, and MC Hammer's life. MC Hammer had a gigantic train of dependents. Deion Sanders on ESPN, I saw something about Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders also kind of like, it's like this thing that happens when you have a lot of wealth, whether you needed it or you caused it or they come and they cling, and then you have, next thing you know, you're taking care of all these people that otherwise should have been taking care of themselves, and it just becomes a very unstable and crazy situation. This is a real quick thought I want to throw in. I want to allow the Moors to continue to give your thoughts. Who else has a comment or a thought on these particular lines?
Islam.
Wait. Sister Harmony. Who was that?
Brother Anderson Bey, go ahead.
Brother Anderson.
Okay. Islam. So as I'm reading that, it makes me think of the distinguishing between my needs and my wants.
Right.
So the rich man has all his needs taken care of. And the rich man lives in want. Even if it's never enough, he wants more and more. And so the poor man in materially, that's what we're talking about, materially. But he's rich in spirit because everything he gets is being provided by Allah. So there's no worry about all the other things. And so the way I see this, whatever Allah wants you to have, he'll let you have it. And whatever he deems not useful to you, he'll remove it.
Islam.
So the poor man, his table is probably fun. His dinner table is probably fun. The conversation is great. You know, people ain't eating it run and messing up the kitchen and all that other stuff, you know.
Right.
You know, and yeah, and that's with that, I say peace.
Praise Allah. There's something very strange that actually happens with the human mind, and I'm going to go to Brother Clendenin Bey. Actually, I'm gonna hold my thought. I'm gonna hold my thought and come back to this thought about how when conditions change, right? There's a verse that talks about the conditions, and as they change, there's something very strange that happens to the mind when you have and when you don't have. But I'm gonna go to the AGS first.
Yeah, Islam Grand Sheik, real quick. It just makes me think how the expression, the grass is greener on the other side, you know, or even the chapter, master and servant. You know, you're always assuming that the other person's place is a better place. But he's just showing you here that even though you're in this place, you might want to be in the other place, there's certain things that come with these other places, you know.
Right.
Peace.
Right, Islam. That makes me think about the chapter on weakness. It has a very powerful lesson midway through about content. You know, man's ability to be able to be content. It says, and this is on page 53, instruction number 10 out of the chapter entitled Weakness. It says, good things cease to be good in our enjoyment of them. What nature meant pure sweets or sources of bitterness to us. From our delight arise pain, from our joy, sorrow. Be moderate in enjoyment, and it shall remain in thy possession. Let thy joy be founded on reason, and to its end shall sorrow be a stranger. And there's a much larger section that goes into that, but you know, that's a powerful portion of that chapter. I was going to say, chapter 7 says the things we see our reflex is just appearing while the ethers vibrate so and so, and when conditions change, they disappear, right? And it actually speaks to something about conditions, right? It actually speaks to the core of illusion. And science today is quantum science is today breaking down the illusion that appears to be the material world. When you zoom in on the camera, they can't find the origin point of anything solid matter, right? And I believe this also extends into, you know, the various conditions that we, you know, even of the mind, right? Thought is the cause of it all. You know, thoughts actually generate things and make them manifest. So it's something interesting. I actually have the interesting experience of having, at certain points in my life, I've made tremendous amounts of money. You know, when I was very young, I had a salary up to, you know, I had enormous salaries, $250,000 I was making at one point when I was in the industry. Recently, millions invested into a company with the hopes to make millions more. And then there's been times in between there, like a roller coaster, up and down, that I barely could see if I was going to be able to survive the next few months. And what actually happens to the mind is interesting. When you don't have, like Brother Anderson Bay said, you appreciate everything. The littlest things, the thoughtful things that people do for you, your ability to be able to just eat or have a single night and sleep in peace. And then when you get finances, you try to hold on to that thought. Well, I remember I had to go, you know, I had a $20 a day budget when I was in college. I had to survive a whole day with $20. And then when I get a lot of money, I say, you try to tell yourself, hold on to that same spirit that you had when you had nothing, so you can appreciate. But as soon as you get the money, like almost magically, bills start bubbling in out of nowhere, giant ones, you know, responsibilities, car insurance, rent charges, tax fees that come in. Then you need somebody, emergencies come out of nowhere. Next thing you know, instead of being able to spend frugally, right? Prudent. Like prudence admonished is what the Quran tells us. You find yourself trying to maintain within $500 a day. You ask yourself, how did I get to that point? Man, then there's this magnetism that happens with the mind where you feel like I really do need this particular thing, and you don't. You want it, but the ability to decipher between what you want and what you need becomes blurred. It's almost like a fixation of the mind that actually happens between the rich and the poor. And I think that's also very interesting in this particular conversation. I'm going to go to our chairman, Sister Berry Bay.
Islam, Brother Bashir.
Islam. I'm going to mute my.
Islam.
There you go.
Islam. Praise Allah. I wanted to camel walk with Brother Anderson Bay. Because he spoke about the rich, they don't want any, they want more. They continue to want more. I kind of look at it from having wisdom and knowledge with rich and poor. That was my demonstration when I first. So if you rich with knowledge and you know so much, sometimes the rich don't want no more because they have too much. They have enough to them. They don't continue to grow because they feel like they have enough wisdom or knowledge.
Right.
So that's how I look at the rich. He's looking at it from a materialistic, I think he was saying, but I was looking at it from, that's what made me think about the thought, like, okay, yeah, they do want more money. They strive for more wealth. But when you think you know a lot, the Prophet let us know that the clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. So when you have so much knowledge and you think you know a lot, you don't want to learn anymore. So that's why we say, when you come into Moorish Science of America, empty your cup so that you can grow in this science.
Islam.
So sometimes the rich don't want any more
Mm.
if you wealthy in knowledge.
Right. Right.
So it speaks about the curse in the poor, because I'm looking at 22. It says, let not the rich, therefore, presume on his riches, nor the poor in his poverty yield to despondence, to misery, you know, or hopelessness. For the providence of Allah dispenseth happiness to them both. He letting you know the rich ain't always happy, the poor ain't always happy.
Right.
You know, don't judge the poor because they don't have much, because he's happy with what he has. We do that. We have a tendency of being judgmental depending on what side of the fence that you're on.
Right.
You don't know enough, you can't speak, you know, you don't have enough degrees like I have, you ain't on my level. Some of us think that way. But when it comes to this science, this is the highest learning. So when you think from a spiritual point of view in riches and poor, then it gets really tricky, because even when you know a lot, you have to still remember to open your heart to receive more.
Praise
And
Allah.
with that, I say peace.
Sister Berry gave me mute. Sister Berry gave me this thought as well. See if my thing is sticking. Can you hear me? Okay. I wanted to make sure my mic was unmuted. I mean the speaker. My speaker was on. Can you hear me, Sister Harmony?
We can hear you.
Okay. That what Sister Berry brings me to chapter 35 again. Somebody read it earlier. I think Sister Berry read this part earlier. Think not bold men. That part where it said, think not bold men, because the punishment is delayed, that the arm of Allah is weakened. Neither flatter thyself with the hopes that he winketh at thy doing. His eye pierceth the secrets of every heart. He remembereth them forever. He respecteth not the persons or the stations of men, the high and the low, the rich and the poor,
That's right.
the wise and the ignorant. When thy soul have shaken off the cumbrous shackles of this mortal life, right? The cumbrous shackles would be all the stuff that you think, like the song Great Judgment Morning that Brother Ferguson sings, or Sister Jones Bay sung. It says, the rich man, he was there with his riches. But when Judgment Day comes, basically they vanish and they all dried up and went away. Basically, he was standing there by himself. And we have to remember that what life actually essentially is, you know, this accumulation of thoughts that crystallize into things and stations. We are still human beings being tested on the highest learnings, right? The attainment of virtues, right? So we're supposed to accumulate virtues of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, mercy, right, etc. Courage, right, wisdom, and throw off the vices, the hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. That's the point of life. Everything else are kind of like distractions in a sense, and they become tests in themselves. Remember the famous test that they always said, it's harder for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. It's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter into the gates of heaven. Now, this is not to say that you could, prophet said it takes finance to uplift the nation. So we're not supposed to run away from finances,
right?
But when too much is given, much is expected. So when you end up with a lot of finance, remember there's a weight underneath that, that you have to be strong enough to be able to handle it and not let it rock your heart to sleep. And all of a sudden you think that you solved the task and you get nothing solved. You waste all your time. Islam.
I'm thinking about what you just said when you named all these virtues. So that means that we should be striving for the credit side of life.
Islam.
Think about what really you're striving for, because the virtues is the only thing that Allah is going to count.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Islam. Islam. Praise Allah. The poor person, in a sense, you could say that they have their own comforts, right? And being rich is not, you know, the source of happiness. Some people say happiness won't make you rich. I mean, richness won't make you happy. So however that's said, you know, how does that say? Why is that escaping me right now? You know, money can't buy happiness, I think is the statement. The poor person, although it may come off as uncomfortable in a sense, you actually are, there is a comfort in being poor, is what I, you know, in having a station of a poor person actually is what I'm gleaning from this. And with that, I'm gonna open up the floor for any other last final comment, and I'm gonna turn the meeting over to our chairman, Brother C. Ferguson L. And we'll go into secretary time.
Islam.
Islam. I hear Sister Jordanelle and Sister Harmony. Sister Jordanelle, hang on one split second. Let me see if anyone, we'll go to Sister Jordanelle first. And Sister Harmony, are there any other hands that you see?
Islam Grand Sheikh, there are Brother Pivo Kassil and Brother Turnabay. And I also wanted to.
Praise Allah. So we'll go to Sister Jordanelle, Sister Harmony, Brother Volkez Il, and Brother Turnabay, and then we'll close out. Islam, thank you, Sister Jordanelle.
Islam, I didn't raise my hand, or I wasn't trying to make a comment. That might have been someone else.
Islam.
Islam.
Oh, I heard another.
Islam.
Oh, that's Sister Silza. Islam Sheikis. Thank you, Sister Jordanelle.
Islam, but I definitely defer and just wait for our members to contribute as well. Islam.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Then you may come back to you, Sister Silza.
Indeed, I called in this time, so I wasn't able to raise my hand. So pardon if I interrupted any type of a flow or order. So I'll definitely just be waiting until the end. Islam.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. No, not a problem. I'm going to go to Sister Harmony. You had something you wanted to add, a thought or question?
Islam, yeah. So I just wanted to share a quick story in regards to this conversation we're having about riches and in distinguishing between the value in this metaphor about being poor and the type of poor man that still lives a happy life, still has a valuable life, and maybe focusing more on him being wealthy than rich. So the story that came to mind, I lived in Colombia for a year. I lived in Bogota for 6 months and Medellin for 6 months.
Wow.
And while I was there, I was a part of a focus group doing research, but I was the nanny for the person heading up that group. So when I wasn't with the children, I was able to just be out, with the locals and watching the research being done, participate in some of the questions. They did a lot of interviewing people in the local community. So we were supposed to really just fit in as much as possible and to interview them about their experiences, basically their existence being in Colombia at that time. And one of the people we focused on was what we would consider in the Americas, of course. We would consider somebody poor, in particular being from the United States. We may look over at other places and decide that somebody is poor, but the reality was they were not poor by any means at all. And in fact, as a part of this particular focus group study, we basically erected this guy out of his home, out of his small town in Bogota, sent him to California, gave him an opportunity to what we would think be a businessman to, increase his profit on products and things he had created in Colombia and create this whole marketing plan for him. I mean, we really went out of our way to try to give him this opportunity to make finance, and he was very depressed. He did not enjoy that experience whatsoever. And even though it was a beautiful hotel, we ended up giving him a beautiful apartment. He preferred to sleep on the floor. The bed was uncomfortable to him. He didn't like the idea of putting food in the refrigerator. He preferred to grow his own food. So he actually fasted for a number of days until he was able to get food he could grow. And we learned so much from him, thinking with the nice clothes that we were giving him and these opportunities, being around people. At one point, he just sat and wept in front of us. And he was like, I don't like these clothes. I don't like these people. I don't like these places. I just want to go home. And it was a very valuable lesson to understand that, again, what one person may deem as being poor or without, when he returned home, there was like people, dancing in the street for him, welcoming him home, even though he lived in what we would consider a small hut with him and his wife and children, their farm, the animals that they had, the field that they had, everything there. He just totally lit up when we landed. He was so happy. He kissed the ground outside the airport.
Wow.
And it just showed us that you cannot put that value on someone. It is within that person to feel rich, to feel wealthy with the knowledge and the love and symbolism of the life they've chosen for themselves. So just reminding them more, it's not about valuable things. It's not about money or materialism or even notoriety. He didn't even want to be known for this invention that he had created. He just wanted to be able to continue to take care of his wife and family and to live what we would consider simple life, but to him, which was a very rich life. So that it just brought me back to that experience. And I just wanted to share that with the Moors. With that, I say peace.
Islam, sister, that's actually that's a very deep story, actually, really, really deep one, really interesting on this topic. I'm gonna go to Sister Berry, who you triggered a
I
thought.
want to camel walk with the thought because I had a opposite experience with a woman who was a slave. She was an Asian woman, and she was brought from the country that she lived in to take care of this family, but she was passed on as like, to like a maid works for you, but then you have children that maid works for the children. Like I work for your parents all my life. So she went from working with the parents to the offsprings of the parents. And the children never liked the way their parent treated the slave. And so when their parents died, they took her on, but they gave her a room. She didn't have to sit on the floor and fall asleep in the corners like she used to do. She had her own space. They got her a car, wanted to teach her how to drive, but she did not want to do these things. They asked her not to fix dinner for them. She's like, this is all I know.
We're messing up her train of,
she
found peace in that.
She found peace in that. It made sense to her. Like, you can't give me this luxury.
Right.
I don't deserve that because this is my calling right now. Let me be here. And he got frustrated with her. And she died that way. With nothing as a slave. But he took her back to her family when she died. When they cremate you, they take.
Right.
So he went back to her country because he's been trying to get her there, but she cannot get there. She didn't want to go. She felt like she had to work. When he took her what you call it? The Hearn back to her country, the family was like, where's Sally? I forgot her name. And he said, here she is. They knew, one of the grandmothers knew that she had already deceased, but she was like from a royal family.
Wow.
Islam.
She was from a rich family.
Wow.
And they gave her a ceremony out of this world. But she never shared what she had. She just wanted to go back and visit, but once the parents didn't allow that, she lost touch with what she came from.
That's so deep.
So you got to remember, even like what she just explained with the brother, he chose to do that. He still had a choice.
Right.
And the sister had a choice. So we got to remember our wills. It's really powerful. It can go both ways. That's why I said I don't think that's an error. Their will was never strong, because your will can be strong in a finite way or strong in a infinite way.
Right.
So I can camel walk with the
That's
thought because
deep.
someone shared that story.
That's
with me.
those are two deep, very deep stories. I'm going to go to Brother Turnabay. That second one reminds me of the story of Buddha. Buddha was born an Indian priest. I think his name was Siddhartha, and he had wealth, and they sheltered him. They wouldn't let him out of the kingdom, and he wasn't really happy. He felt like something was off balance because the maid and the man from Colombia, they already had reached an inner peace.
Right.
A high level of peace where, that's the state of mind. Heaven is a state of mind, right? It's not a country to be reached. It's not a station even. And when they were taken out of their peace, they were just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She said he cried. They gave him all this stuff. He cried. Taking food out of the refrigerator, taking the clothes off. And he didn't want any of these things that somebody else was trying to impose on him. Siddhartha didn't want to be rich. He actually jumps over the wall, escapes from his house, and then runs off into the community. And then at one point he strips himself of everything, starves himself even of food. He meditates and gets to the center he reached almost nirvana, and the universe told him that you got to go back and bring some people with you. But he starved himself and all these other things. So those are interesting stories of how to seek peace, and seeking riches is not connected to it, and luxury. Brother Turnabay.
Islam. I want to introduce Nikki Lucas. She's running, I believe, for city council. She expressed to me privately that she's enjoying the meeting, and she requested to come back. She wanted to see what our Friday meeting was like.
Islam, yeah. I was gonna say that we'll do that now. I was gonna introduce Nikki Lucas during the secretary time, but we can do that now because I know our time is slipping a little bit. Brother Turnabay, if you want to tell them a little bit about Miss Lucas, and I want to thank you for inviting her on the call.
Right. Okay.
There, Nikki, are you there?
I am here, but I enjoyed what I heard today. I can come back and share some things with everyone. It's totally fine. I did enjoy the experience. I kind of like to get to know folks before I delve into things. And I would like to come back on Friday. Thank God for Corey. He has really been the one that introduced me to this, and we've been talking about this for a couple of years now. So I just want to kind of just get to know the experience. I'm here, so I'm not in a rush to have a conversation about me. Let me figure out what's going on with you first.
Right.
If that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. It's long.
I wanted you to give a little bit of a breakdown. I just wanted to ask Nikki, see if Nikki was able to. We sent some videos about the organization. We had an event last week where we had many of the heads of the temples around the country speaking for a little bit, and I think that's probably a very helpful glimpse into some of the teachings and the quality of the membership around the country. When you get a chance, Corey has a couple of videos for you. Actually, we wanted to send, so you can do that. Praise
That'd
Allah.
be great. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Corey, can you tell the Moors a little bit about Ms. Lucas, if you can?
Well, everybody know when I came from behind the yellow brick wall, the first thing I did was continue my plan with my being involved with the political economics of my neighborhood. So I attended my first tenant association meeting, knowing that the tenant association was the first line of defense for my neighborhood, which is the projects in Brooklyn, pink houses.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I noticed that it was mostly elder people. None of the youth were there. So it was I realized a great disconnect between the youth and our elderly people, and that's when I first met Nikki. And then I came on to she has the one and only East New York Democratic Club in East New York. So that fascinated me. Then I got to know her on a personal level, a very passionate about, our people, right? And and making sure that we receive the respect and also the little things that we needed. Helped to run for district leader, the 60th district, which she did win. And that was a very, very fascinating experience. That was my first time being like hands-on with the political process. But just watching her work with her communication and friendships throughout the political realm, the religious realm. She has a vast eclectic pool of religious companions. It doesn't stick to just one religion. So that told me in itself a lot about her character. She is a devout, I believe, Baptist, right, Nikki?
I don't know if she heard you. He said, "Are you devout Baptist, Ms. Lucas?"
It's closer to Pentecostal. However, our church is really kind of like non-denominational. But if you chose it's closer to Pentecostal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like I said, she's able to relate on all different levels, and yeah, and that fascinated me as well. Her work in the community. With from small to big. I'm talking about you could call her phone directly with any little problem, and she's feet on the ground, hands on, with the situation. And then on a higher level, when it comes to rights or things that's going on with the community as far as land wise, as far as judges being in our communities, again, feet on the ground, hands on. So I definitely, whatever she's doing, you know, I make it my business to make sure that, you know, I participate in any way possible that I can, you know.
Praise Allah. And Nikki, are you running again in 21? I thought I read something you were running for either city council or the state assembly. I'm trying to remember.
So this year, there's all the city races. So I am running for the city council seat in the 42nd council district, which includes East New York, some of Brownsville, East Flatbush, Canarsie. So yeah, and that election is in June. I believe it's June 22nd this year.
Got it. Good information. We look forward to building with you. I'd like to thank you personally for you were on from early for taking in the meeting here at Temple 34. We'd like to welcome you officially to Brooklyn Temple number 34 for this Sunday school. Hopefully you found the information useful, and there's a lot in there, the reading of the laws, and I don't know if you had any questions from anything that you may have heard.
No, I just, it was eye-opening. I'm thankful that thank you so much, first of all, for having me and allowing me to share this moment with you. I just realized that there's so many similarities. People are always focusing on differences with things, but there's always similarities with each of these things. And it's about really just respecting people's cultural spaces, religious spaces, and knowing that there is one common goal, which is to really advance our people.
That's right.
No matter what your path is. And that's really what it's about. And again, I just want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to just share that moment with you. Thank you, Corey, who has been an amazing individual. He is the epitome of greatness in humility in one. And he has no idea how much I admire his passion and his growth. And we've been together for like a long time. And we've kind of gone through a lot of different challenges, and how he perseveres throughout some of the journey that he has gone through. I have a tremendous amount of admiration for him. And because of just him being by my side, and there's only a few that you kind of hold close to you, and Corey happens to be one of them. It really educates me a lot more. It allows me to understand what I need to know and what I need to do, and it opens up what my purpose is.
Islam. Thank you again, and we thank you for joining us. We had a question from Brother Ferguson, our chairman. I'm going to turn the rostrum over. Thank you, Sister Lucas.
Rise and give praise for Allah now. Probably. Are you familiar with
Christopher James?
Darlene Mealy? Council. Because Temple 21, we worked with her.
Fantastic.
Back in the day, yeah. So I worked with the youth.
Darlene, yeah, she's actually running in a neighboring district, which her district covers mostly Brownsville, some of Bed-Stuy, and it goes, I think, a little bit into East Flatbush as well. But she's also, I think, in her race is two people, which is her and the current city council person, which is Lika Ampry Samuel. And she's the chair of public housing.
Oh, praise the Lord. Yeah. Praise the Lord. Thank you. Like I said, whatever we can do, we can aid and assist. Because like I said, I was part of, like I said, I worked with Christopher James with her. I was part of the Youth and Education Committee.
Oh, fantastic.
Working with her. You know, we was connected when I was at 21, Temple 21. Temple 21 did support. And then,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you know, and like I said, we support anyone who's interested in our community and interested in uplifting quality humanity. We always we always gonna support that. So we're with you, my sister, whatever we can do.
Well, it's going to be really, really important for us to pay attention to the races that are really happening this year. We got an opportunity to really understand what was really happening in our communities that we knew all along, but it was really just magnified throughout this pandemic. In this district alone, we have a lot of housing, so-called affordable and low-income housing that's popping up. However, the rates of homelessness within our community, we're actually the homeless capital of New York City. And people, I just want people to really pay attention to that, because when people think about homelessness, they think about walking by somebody on the street, or has a mattress in a train station somewhere. But homelessness is all around us. People are doubling up with families in 1-bedroom apartments. People are actually in these shelters, and folks are thinking that these are people that's coming into the community, when in fact is the very people from the community that are homeless. And these are not just my thoughts about it. These are the statistics that they're providing to us. And when you're connecting with a lot of these schools, you understand that these families are also affecting our children, and then expect them to still learn under harsh and traumatic conditions. And these things are continuously going untreated within our communities. And so when you see that things are growing around us and we're not growing with it, and we're still dealing with deplorable conditions, even though we have leadership in place, then we have to be able to assess what we're really doing here. And the leadership that we've had in place has been here for 20 years, and we have not seen any real advancement, only an increase in the conditions that we're dealing with. Just even with NYCHA, they're privatizing it, and unfortunately, people have been in these conditions, bad conditions, for so long, they don't understand what the long-term effects of these things are, because they're so happy that their house or their apartment is going to be fixed, but they don't realize that in the long run, our people will be displaced.
That's right.
And so these are some of the things and some of the reasons why it's important, and the things that I have been doing in the community for the past several years. And I encourage people, when making decisions about who we're going to be voting for this year, pay attention to the person that they are before they get into office.
That's right.
We have to start doing things a little bit different. If you don't need a title to make a difference, the title just allows you to do more in a positive way, if you're a positive person, to affect our people with legislation and funding. But we've been doing a lot of work, as Corey said, throughout this community, and just pay attention. Just pay attention to what's happening. The economy has not grown for us. We don't have any real career paths within the community. So some of the things, aside from just listing what the problems are, some of the solutions is that I've been partnering, as Corey said, throughout the past years with unions, so that they can provide real apprenticeship programs to create careers for young people within our community. And that also at the same time addresses the increase in violence, supporting legislation that actually has to do with a lot of the police harassment and the gun violence, partnering with different levels of government to make sure that we have great relationships, so that we can push certain legislation, and we can collectively work together to make sure that that happens. And we haven't, again, in the last 20 years, we've had a disconnect in our levels of government where no one has been working together. And that's unacceptable. People are talking about defunding the police, and it might be a popular thing to say,
But the reality of it all is that that's still not dealing with the issues that's happening with police harassment within our community. So once you defund them, you're still dealing with that level of harassment and no accountability for these officers that's beating the heck out of our people. So it's about reallocating funds, making sure that people understand that the police department is not only made up of police officers, there's other jobs that will be affected. Where are they taking the money from? Number two, are they putting these things into mental wellness? Folks that can come out on the scene to address issues? Are they going to put it in making sure that we're putting into the enrichment programs into schools that contribute to preventing crime? And in addition to that, putting in place some piece of legislation that's going to hold officers accountable. You should never be able to accumulate 20 violations that eventually that go untreated until until it leads to a death or a beating. 3-strike rule. They give it to us. They should be giving it to themselves. A 3-strike rule.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be some level of accountability for these things. And again, although we have been a community statistically who has the highest rate of gun violence, who has the highest rate of police harassment and brutality, there has not been one piece of legislation that has come from our local electeds to put in place to protect us from these things. And it's unacceptable. So again, it's not just about this district, it's about we have a second chance. We have a second chance to get it right with every seat that's out there, the mayor, the borough president, the public advocate, the comptroller, all of these things. We have a second chance to say, hey, look, either you make a real investment in our community financially and you prioritize, or we don't want you here. Either you make a real investment for holding people accountable and making legislation that's going to protect us, or we don't want you here. And that's for every single seat. And we cannot afford to do business as usual. We do not know what this budget is going to look like coming into the new city council year. We have to make sure that we are assessing the entire city budget. We got to make sure that we get rid of wasteful spending, get rid of 1,000 consultants and nobody's giving us any deliverables. And we have to make sure that that money is assigned to real deliverables for our seniors, for our young people, that there's literacy components, that there's career opportunities, and not just giving these organizations funding to bring in numbers, but not giving us results. So these are the things that I am currently working on. I invite folks to look at my website. I have a show that comes on Sundays at 9 a.m. Called Voices of East New York. It is a live show. We allow people to pop in and speak their piece. My website is electnickylucas.com. I'm constantly on Facebook doing lives. We go in a lot of these communities inside NYCHA and really raise Cain about what we're seeing in the conditions, because if we don't bring awareness to it, they'll act like it's never happening. Mm-hmm. So this is some of the things that we're doing. I invite people to join this movement. Also organize a coalition called Coalition to Save NYCHA. We have a petition running as well. So this is what we're looking at. If with me going into city council, the expectation is to make sure that we're focusing on economic development, that we're really focusing on creating jobs, making sure that we are not just signing off to developers on the cheap that are not going to provide careers for our community and that are not going to be willing to pay their fair share. We're focusing on making sure that we have real accessibility to health quality health care, preventive care, community-based health centers, school-based health centers. This is really what it's going to look like for this. And I am privatizing of NYCHA. And those are things that you're going to see me advocating against, not only in words, but in legislation and making sure that we're making the right investments within this community. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you, my sister. We definitely gonna be in touch. You know, keep in touch with you.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Nice
Thank you. I hope to see you Friday. I hope I'm invited to that.
Yes, yes, it's open.
Of course.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yes, we'll close out for now. We'll play a few of the during the secretary time of maybe 2-3 minutes, and allow the more to ask the questions, and then we're gonna close out fairly quick so we shift time.
Islam.
What
we're gonna do? We're gonna close out right now, and then during secretary time, we had a few people that wanted to make comments. So what we do is after that we play for a couple minutes. And then we open up for secretary time, then we open up for question and answers. I'd like to thank the Grand Sheik. I'd like to thank everyone for participating in the class, and I'd like to thank the sister for sharing some of the things.
Sister Nikki Lucas.
Yeah. That we making us aware of certain things in the community, in our community. At this time, I read a divine warning, and then divine warning by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, order to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Fail to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, true peace, freedom, and justice, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet who violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by the prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their cards and button, cease weighing their turbans and affairs, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. It's an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. All right, Grand Sheik, you can put that on.
Yeah, we take about 5 minutes with questions. We try to keep the questions short today. Then we're going to close out. We kind of overshot the time a little bit.
Islam, we have 2 hands up, Brother Serrano Bay and Brother Pete Vocazil.
Islam. Brother Ferguson now?
Yeah.
You got 2?
Yeah, Brother Vocazil and then Brother Serrano Bay. I think Brother Vocazil was on, right?
Islam, he was first. Brother Vocazil?
Brother Vocazil?
Islam. These are quick. I'm aware of the time restraint. My comment was that before the councilwoman, Miss Nikki Lucas, presented to us was that the lower self clings to things that delude to slavery and enslave the body, which can also mean material things as wealth, which...
Hang on, brother Vocazil. Sorry, brother. I just wanted to clarify that what you just said is that this question that you're stating, you had the thought just before Sister Lucas started to speak, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's not connected at all. I just wanted to clarify. It's not at all connected. I know that's what I registered from what you said. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah. Actually, it's a comment, and then I'm gonna go into a question. But it's real quick. So let me. I get that. Okay, so wealth, right? Material wealth. which the spirit man cannot take back to Allah to buy our way back into the estate that we have lost, right? I praise Allah, right, for the bread and water, and I'm grateful to Allah for the sustenance, you know, as some say, you know, for giving me, our daily bread. Doesn't it taste just as good? Is the question. Food is food. What really more can we want besides shelter? You know, what do we lack? To the rich man and the poor man, food, bread tastes just as sweet. Water is just as satisfying. Right? So we may be poor in material wealth, but we are spared what is spoken of in instructions 16 and 17, and convening with, we're spared the conniving of the lower self nature of man, right? The flatterer and devourer, which is mentioned in those instructions 16 and 17. And then my question, I have it's two questions, but it's a real quick question. Is there a study group, collective to study in a group together what the Prophet has brought, all that the Prophet has brought after Sunday school, and where we can bring documents that we have you know, found to prove our perspective? That's one question. To prove a perspective on a point. And then my last question, and it's a real quick question. I hope it is. It's in regards to the 7 days of the week. I believe 2 weeks ago, if I recall correctly, the Grand Sheikh was teaching us about the Gregorian calendar, which we follow this day, the solar day, I mean. Man has collectively agreed in a societal way that this solar day is the sun's day today, right? I refer to the Quran questions for the Moorish Americans, questions 98 through 101, where the Prophet instructs us on, you know, the 7 days of the week. My question is that how do we know for a fact which one of the seven spirits we're honoring? You know, if each day is a cycle, each solar day is a cycle. And I was just having that thought, like, when does it start if we don't, you know, we should be observing each of the seven spirits, the seven eyes of Allah. And with that, I say peace. I know that was quite
Islam, brother.
Right.
Bocas ill. I would say, in Sister Harmony, I believe there's a brother Lord Ill. Lord Ill is trying to get in, I think, into the meetings. Sister Berry Bay. Oh, I think he's trying to call in. Yeah. If there's any way that we can assist them, I just wanted to give a heads up. Brother Bocas ill, I would say that to your first question, we are working on developing in the next few days, as a matter of fact, a Facebook group for Temple 34, where we can share additional ideas privately, a private group, and examine them at length, the way that Facebook allows for the post, and then we can examine as a family. That's to the first question. The second question, that's a great question to maybe go into next week. I think the answer is going to open up a larger discussion. So if we can we table that, or give the Moors a chance to actually think about it a little bit and then come back to it next week? Islam. Thank you, brother.
Come on, Brother Hill, around the big.
Islam. First, I rise and give praises to Allah. I give honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and I give honors to everything that our brother Chairman, Grand Governor of Connecticut, gave honors to. Islam to the Moors, and honors to the Moors as well. When man gives honors to man, he gives honors to his Father God Allah. I just wanted to chime in. I'm happy that I held out and that I waited and I got to hear such beautiful information one of which Brother Turnaby is sharing the teachings and living a certain life that connects him to a certain quality of life that brings a certain level of comfort, right? And so to me, that in itself speaks to a great development within the nation, right? And then to have our sister here who is fighting for the cause, right? And looking to assist our people. And the fact that she, when I heard that she was in the church, these lessons are for all those who love Jesus. And so when I heard the appreciation that was expressed, and I didn't see a difference. And so I went back to the holy unity of the rich and the poor for me, where we may look at one as having greater and one value in one area than the other. But when we break it down to the core of an individual, you start to understand that each part of life affords you different benefits, but they end up being equal in their respective places. And so with the wealthy man, yeah, he has all his food, he has all these things, but he has to make sure nobody slipped him anything because his life insurance is high. Right. And he also can't just eat anywhere and get caught slipping. You know what I'm saying? Can't just get caught eating anywhere. So you can't just eat when you go out to an outing. You can't just accept food when someone offers you something nice that may look and taste delicious, as the poor man may. So he may be hungry for longer, depending on what his mission is in that day, because he may not be able to eat in security, right? And so when you have, he may be just as hungry in the body, depending on where he is and where he's traveling to, right? Depending on how bougie of a style of eating he may have, he may not be able to drink any kind of water. Right. So he may not even actually be able to consume certain things. And, it just brings to a certain thought for me, the unity, because this is about the holy unity, right? And so when you look at the poor and they talk about the, him being able to enjoy his meal, when he gets his meal, he may be able to enjoy it in peace, but depending on how many people he owes and depending on how many people he may hang with or where he's residing, he may have to even share that, because the little bit that he gets, they're going to be expecting him to give back. And so it still shows that concept of the balance between the two, the duality. So even though they're in their higher glory, so to speak, they may be worried about those trying to hurt them in secrecy, whereas those on the lower end may be worried about those trying to hurt them in public with no justice. And where I see the part where I'm speaking to the no justice, because a lot of the words in here speak to it. So it says, but the curse of iniquity. So iniquity talks back to injustices, right? Iniquity speaks back to justice, and justice pursueth him. So when you have a certain amount of money, it's kind of hard to listen to everybody, depending on how busy you are. So at some point in time, I hope you asking Allah for forgiveness. I'm hoping you're putting that in the universe, because you're violating someone at some point in time. You might not have the time to hear somebody. He may have came all the way there, or she may have come all the way there, putting so much on the line to get to you, and you might not have the time truly. But that doesn't free you from what harm you might have caused, because your life has to carry on. And so it talks about that. It says he liveth in continual fear, the anxiety of his mind and the rapacious desire. So that goes back into avarice, where it talks about gratitude, where it talks about the avarice of pride. Take not anything from the hand of the proud. And then it talks about the avarice will expose him to shame. Mm-hmm. It's the same concept when you look at the word rapacious. It connects back to avarice, right? And so as he's talking about his extreme desire to just want more, like he's never satisfied with the goods he has. That's not just the wealthy. That's even some of the ones who are on the, let's just say, financially struggling side of life, as some may deem it. But even those who are struggling in the spiritual sense seek after other things to fill themselves. And whereas some who may be spiritually rich may not do that. And so I think that when we look at rich versus poor, it can be external, but it can also be a battle internally with the higher self and the lower self, right? Where the lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness. But the higher self is rich in blessedness. And so when I just look at that combination, as much as we look at it externally, we can look at it internally, but I think that there is a unity in that to understand, to make us humble. And it also speaks to a part, one last piece where it talks about him being depressed. There's a part in there was a word that talked about depressed, him being depressed, and no one should be depressed. there we go. So it says, rapacious desires of his own soul take vengeance upon him for the calamities he has brought upon others. That happens to the poor man too. Do you know what kind of things that a person who may be in desire of cash might turn to? What you might have done to grandma, that your family member had to rough you up because you took grandma purse, or, you know, now you're here taking from your babies, or taking from your, you know, you're not even supporting the babies because you can't. And so now you're hiding your face and doing shameful things. And that could be mother or father. This is not about one or the other, because everybody has their struggles, right? And then you have those who might be wealthy who are hiding out. You might not be able to help everybody because you start to see things differently when you have a certain kind of finance. You might feel like you're being taken advantage of. So each lifestyle offers you a different challenge to the lower self, if that makes any sense. And so we're all unified. We all have our struggles. And that's what I think the prophet was bringing to us, to just be humble and to just, you know, never feel like one is greater than the other. And with that, I say peace. Thank you for calling on me. This is a great Sunday school. And, you know, Jesus was the Lion of Judah and the Lamb of God. So with that, I say peace.
Islam. And one thing the prophet said, some of my best Moors are in the church.
Still in the church.
So praise Allah. So, you know, some of my best Moors. Who we got?
We have a guest. We got a couple of guests. Sister Berry, Sister Harmony, do we have a couple of guests? We saw a baby on the screen a little earlier, a beautiful baby.
Islam, I do not recognize this beautiful baby, but the name for the Zoom is Brooklyn Dodges.
Brooklyn Dodges, yes. I had a brother who called me a couple of weeks ago, and I gave him some information to tie in. Brother was able to make it on. I want to say, is that brother?
Yes. How y'all doing? Islam.
Islam.
Islam. I got the family here with me, man. Just enjoying the speech and the lessons, and you know, I'm soon to convert. I'm willing to make the next step. Definitely.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Yeah.
Brother Cleveland, you were able to make it into the chat, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Chat with the family. You know, we have those also conference calls on Sunday and on Thursday night.
Right.
Right. Those, they're even more interactive. You can it's a conference call. You can ask questions, questions for those calls. And it's always a discussion for new members to ask questions. So there's one tonight. You want to dial into that as well. 7:30.
All right, cool. I'm there. I'll be there. Islam. Peace.
Anybody else, Sister Harmony?
Would anyone else like to announce themselves who is on the call, who may be a visitor or first time that they have an opportunity to speak and introduce themselves?
Praise Allah. We also had our brother, we had a brother I saw on earlier, how to say his name? Oh boy, he joined the chat as well. He had an Egyptian sounding name, King Anubis, Anubis King. Is Anubis King? Islam brother Anubis King, are you there?
He's there.
Give him a chance to unmute.
Islam, everybody. Islam family.
Islam, brother man. I also got a call from you as well. You were able to make it in. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
You enjoyed the meeting?
Excuse me? Say that again.
Are you able to enjoy the meeting this afternoon?
I love the meeting. Yes, I love the meeting. And you will see more of me every meeting.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. How did you first hear about the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother King? I think I might have asked you this on the phone. I can't remember if I did.
Oh, no, we met in person. Me and my brother came probably a month before the temple shut down.
Right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Praise Allah.
Yes, sir. Praise Allah.
You had any questions from today's meeting?
Oh, no. I enjoyed everybody ideology on everything. So no questions.
Welcome, brother. And thank you.
Thank you for tuning in tonight.
Thank you, brother.
I want to make sure the chairman is saying, make sure to tune in tonight as well on the conference call.
Yes, sir.
Islam Moors, everyone really should be able to pop in every once in a while. The newer members definitely, we want to try to make that mandatory to support the call. It actually helps you. It's there to support you So it's a mutual benefit. And with that, I say peace, Morris.
Peace. AGS, you have anything, AGS? Brother Kandani?
Islam, one other announcement. I almost forgot. Our brother T. Berry Bay is on a Sunday school call this afternoon. Oh, he's probably off already because they always end early. Brother, he may be off, but when you get a chance to, once you get off, we're gonna turn that on, so we can watch and support our brother as he was in Sunday school class with the Grand Sheikh moderator. Last week, Brother R. Jordan Ill was on as well. Did a very good job. Praise Allah. Peace.
Hey, Chairman. Islam.
Peace,
Brother
Chairman.
Anderson Bay. I just wanted to give honors to Brother T. Berry Bay, Sister Lynn Berry Bay, Brother P. Miles Bay for last week for showing up in building with the young Moors that in the diversion program over at the DA's office. Last week was a really difficult time. I just want to say the Moors showed up and really gave these young men some real hope. You know, the 5 principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice were operative during those meetings. And I just want to say, you know, I appreciate y'all, the Moors getting involved and helping to uplift fallen humanity, especially our young people. And with that, I say peace.
Peace. Brother Anderson Bay. Oh, Brother Chairman, is that okay?
Let's try to get AGS.
Okay, we're waiting on the AGS, Brother Clinton
Yeah,
Bay.
he came in.
He came in?
Yeah.
Islam.
It's on, Brother AGS.
Yeah, everything is good. Just want to say peace.
All right, okay, Mo. All right, peace.
Peace.
All right, man.
Peace, AGS. Also, I wanted to see if we could get Brother Anderson Bay. Brother Anderson Bay, I think you have a couple of things that you are involved in outside of what you just mentioned, which is the interaction with the DA's office via the DA's office, but also you were talking about the Moors gathering for civics, and also I saw something about meditation. If you could just remind the Moors so we can kind of catch the rhythm of the timing when those actually happen. And I also want to remind you to post them in the chat maybe the day before so the Moors can participate in that as well. Peace.
The meditation course. So I've been a practitioner of 3 different types of Vipassana, Tonglen, and Anapanasati. And what I'm going to teach is compassion meditation. I see there's so much pain in the world, and I think the Moors should be the one that should lead the change, the tide of the change. So this practice is really simple, and it's something that you can apply to every aspect of your life. Also, what was the other thing, GS?
Civics, I think you mentioned.
So Mondays, Brother T. Berry Bay and Brother SNL Bay show up on our community meeting at the diversion program. And so they are running a civics class. And so the idea is not only to help our young people get to move away from a life of crime, but also we want to provide them with real pathways to law-abiding citizenship, you know, and also being more engaged in the things that are going on in their neighborhood, like Sister Lucas said, the voting, being aware of the significance of the elections, you know, that everyone pays mostly to the presidential, but this past election, there were 4 judges on the ballot for Brooklyn Supreme Court, you know, and so it's important that this idea is just to really stress to our young people how different ways you can get involved with being in your civic government. And with that, I say peace. Hold up, that's Mondays. So we meet Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 4:30 to 6.
Islam.
All right, praise the Lord.
Can you post those reminders in the chat, Brother Anderson Bay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, peace.
Islam, I'd like to thank everyone for the contribution physically, spiritually, and financially. Don't forget, we still got the Moorish guides. And, you know, you can buy some and give it to your friends, loved ones, you know, support the Moorish guide. I'd like to thank everyone for the contribution physically, spiritually, and financially. I pray Allah continue to guide us. I pray Allah continue to protect us. I pray Allah continue to shield us against all negative forces seen unseen. And don't forget your hourly prayer. Put it in the ethers, Mo. Thoughts is the cause of it all. All rise, face the east. Seated at 90 degrees, 45 on each side. Repeat the motion work and prayer after our grand chief.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah,
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
My salvation.
By night.
By
night.
And by day.
By day.
Through his holy prophet.
With holy prophet.
Ali.
Ali.
Amen.
Islam, brother. Our Lord is Islam, Mo.
Islam. We got a short video.
I don't know. He might not be able to.
I just love, I don't hate, don't wanna make no more mistakes. Strive for purity, turn from sin, and continue from where I began. I just love, I don't hate, don't wanna make no more mistakes. Strive for purity, turn from sin, and continue from where I began. You say it's baby food, not Similac. We all suck from one mother. Remember that? Children of one father, and his care provides. Therefore, gratitude, I dedicate my life. Uplift the next, uplift them all. Uplift your brother, man, when he dropped the ball. Don't criticize, you gotta love him more. Open the windows of your heart and crack the door. Let it shine through and bring a balanced joy. Who remembers himself, a baby boy? We all make mistakes, try to make a few. Don't be a slave to sin, do as the prophet do. We all will be redeemed, we all will be returned. We all will be repaid for everything we earn. So don't play the fool, cause the fire burns. But it's a blessing too, it purifies the just love, I don't hate, don't wanna make no more mistakes. Strive for purity, turn from sin, and continue from where I began. I just love, I don't hate, don't wanna make no more mistakes. Strive for purity, turn from sin, and continue from where I began.
How y'all want to do this? We can get it done. Keep it Quranic, keep it Islamic. Having meetings in the grove with the Brahmic priest. We all talk about peace. Where we get the name Jesus from, that's the East. Have a Sunday school, I'm a Sunday dude. I'm a Quran reader, I'm one of the believers. I'm trying hard to bring my will in tune with the deific. I'm trying hard to bring my will in tune, let's get specific. Pay the poor rate, keep up prayer. Forgive your brother, man, Allah forgave ya. Belief in one God, there's none higher. Associating partners, woe to the liars. But I ain't tripping though, they be forgiven though. And the conflict that can't be told in words. Whoa, I maintain my team, I got them turning
I just love, I don't hate, don't wanna make no more mistakes. Strive for purity, turn from sin, and continue from where I began. I just love, I don't hate, don't wanna make no more mistakes. Strive for purity, turn from sin, and continue from where I began. Just love, don't hate, no more mistakes. Strive for
Peace, Moors.
Peace.